Glasses off, lipstick on.
All right, here we go. Doing the thing, talking about the stuff.
the music stuff. Yeah, we had a great show this weekend.
Yeah, had a great show. You did some cool things.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so there's a little bit to talk about.
Yeah, and I have I had a kind of not new but not common coaching experience on Friday night. It's been a while since I've coached a band. I mean, I've done it before. I've done a much more individual coaching on performance skills, but this was I got to coach a band on Friday night. So it was another tribute band in the scene called Those Crazy Nights, a tribute to Journey. One of the 5 Journey tributes in
It's a lot
Denver.
of Journey tributes.
It was so much fun, and I went into it a little nervous, and we talked about it before I went, because you've coached bands more often than I have. I gave them the option of working with either one of us, and I don't know why they picked me, but
Yeah.
A lot of times when you get booked to coach a band on their performance, there is at least one person in the band who's been kind of
Right.
coerced into it by their bandmates.
That is the real problem with coaching.
And so it's like the personal dynamics can be a challenge. And, so we talked through kind of my approach about making sure that they all felt heard and that I know what they want to get out of it and things like that. But those concerns were not even warranted with this band. Such great humans.
Sounds like they came to
Oh my gosh.
get better,
Yeah, they came with open minds and smiles, and we're all ballpark same age. I think they might all be slightly older than I am, but not that much. And so we just hit it off. I mean, I hit it off immediately with the guitar player who is in IT. And so, we're just talking what are you doing during the day? And he's like, I manage people who fight with computers. I was like, I used to fight with computers. Well, I still do, but
Right.
So of course we had the IT connection. And it was really fun because they got it. They got it right away.
Right.
Basically the main thing I worked on them with were 2 concepts. One, making the audience or helping the audience hear what you're playing through their eyes.
Right.
Helping them see what they're hearing, or helping them hear because they see.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that involves some blocking, some movement, some audience leading, some audience direction, avoiding audience misdirection, that kind of thing. And they picked up the core concepts pretty quickly. So, we critiqued 3 songs that were on video, and then we worked on 3 songs. And by the end of that 2 hours, they had so much to take home, and they can apply these concepts.
Yeah, well, it's so not rocket science. In fact, it often seems like it's very often when you explain some of those things, people just go, oh, duh.
Right,
of course.
exactly.
It's not that it takes some large amount of time to understand the concept. You just go, oh, I totally see how that was.
Yeah. And so then the second main concept that I hammered on was making sure that your songs look different from each other.
That's an issue.
Having 5 or 6 people stand in the same spot on the stage the entire time and do all the same, whatever it is they do on stage, all the songs end up looking the same. Therefore, they end up sounding kind of the same.
Right.
It's
just going to seem static.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once you get out past, in my mind, once you get out past 45 minutes, that becomes a real problem.
Yeah.
That it's just been the same people standing in the same spots, playing the same instruments. And there's a bunch of strategies you can use to kind of get around that. And I think, it's not even that you need entire songs that will look wildly different. If you just give it, hey, there's an intro of a song, and somebody that was in the back comes out front, and or just the people who are in the front all move to the back, and it's just the singer at the front of the stage.
Yeah.
It's just giving those different looks so that it just isn't so statically.
Yeah. And what that work made me realize is that we have a couple chapters of the book we haven't written.
Yeah, that's right.
I totally forgot about stage performance for the whole band. We had only been focused on the individual.
Right.
So we're going to hit it again tonight and write outline another couple of chapters. But
Sure.
the book's coming along well. I would say the first draft, aside from the chapters we just realized we needed to write, it's the first draft is written.
Yeah.
First rough draft. So that's going well. And then we had we went down to Boot Barn Hall in Colorado Springs in the middle of a snowstorm to play a sold out show there. It was sold out for a while.
Yeah.
It was a great one.
Yeah, it was great. Definitely, the weather, we wound up staying overnight just because our fearless leader, Vic, was nice enough to kind of think ahead and grab some hotel rooms. And heck of a deal. Nice room for $85.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, we went ahead and stayed because we just didn't know it would be like late. On the way down there, the roads were actually pretty clear.
They were, although the snow was really wet and heavy, so
That was
and
the
it wasn't
concern. Yeah.
it wasn't very cold. So a lot of the snow was melting, which means black ice when it freezes.
Yeah, which
So,
means when it gets dark and then it gets cold, then it's
Yeah.
going to all ice up because it might as well have just rained as far as the roads were concerned. I mean, there was a foot of
Yeah.
snow everywhere, but
Yeah.
like the roads, it was all melting. So, yeah, but the drive down wasn't too bad, and attendance seemed great.
Yeah.
I think the audience was a little toned down because they knew they were all driving in bad conditions to...
Oh, really?
I didn't think about it at the time. Maybe it was Julian who mentioned that, or somebody. Maybe it was Joaquin, and I hung out with Joaquin and Vic in the hotel lobby after we got there. Somebody pointed out that people might have been, taking it easy, not drinking, that kind of thing, because they knew
They knew it was going to be a sketchy ride home.
it's going to be a sketchy ride home. So, like, let's not get, I mean, beyond even the drinking, like, let's keep it, calm and,
Yeah.
and I think it was good. We ended a little early.
Yeah, and I think
And
that was.
I think
good.
that was the right move to
Yeah.
just be like, hey, we're not going to make anybody stay here all night.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how we ran through that set faster than normal. I don't know why we didn't try to end early. We just did.
No, it seemed to fly pretty fast.
I mean,
We'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, maybe I forgot to add a song or something, or maybe I just didn't talk as much as I usually do with them, which I didn't because I heard the dim chatter through the room, and so I there was no storytelling going on really.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. That's one of those reading the crowd things where like this venue is just not a listen to a long story
Yeah.
kind of crowd. They're just
Yeah.
not in that.
Although I was worried that I would be rusty on my stage banter because it's been a while since
Right.
we've done a boot barn. Well, it's been a while since we've gigged. It's just been like a month or two off.
Right.
And so I just had this feeling that I was going to be awkward and my stories weren't going to come out and land well, but I did pretty well. And I normally make up my stories in the last 20 seconds of the previous song.
Right.
Like, I look down at the set list to see, like, what's next. Oh, yeah, I'm next. Oh, it's time for me to say something. And I'm, like, shaking a tambourine or singing backups, and I'm thinking, what does this crowd need? What does this crowd need?
I thought you had some good ones.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, it didn't seem rusty at all.
That
and I think there was some great,
It comes from the fact that I'm doing it in the moment, because that's the thing I'm thinking and feeling at that moment. Like if I were trying to make conversation with someone about this song in this moment, and I was trying not to say the same thing I've said
right
before, then that's what I would say. And I think that's what makes it authentic, is because it is literally brand new in my head.
Yeah, and I think that's what does make it authentic. And I think part of what lets you get away with it that I noticed at the show, because I'm obviously tuning guitars and I switch guitars a bunch, and so I'm very busy in between songs usually. So I'm hearing you talk, but I'm not really paying that much attention because I have a bunch of stuff to do to get ready for the next song too. One thing I noticed at Boot Barn, you've developed a really good, consistent stage talking rhythm where you're leaving the pauses. It has the interesting, exciting rhythm. You could be saying nonsense and it would still kind of land because it's got the ma, 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 ma. And then like, you've just kind of got this like, and then you're leaving the pauses for people to clap. And,
Right.
and it's your own. It's not like there's a formula, but like, it's like you've sort of dialed in this rhythm of, even though you said several different things and you launched into stories you've never told, I really noticed that night that you've got this rhythm down of, and maybe a couple different rhythms. It's not the exact thing. Maybe you just have a sense of rhythm down where you're kind of.
Yeah. And I think one thing that's important that I've developed that new performers often don't have is I have a sense of confidence that space is power.
Yes. Yeah.
That I don't need to be filling every moment with a syllable.
Yeah.
But I can say half a sentence and think what the next half of the sentence is going to be for 3 or 4 seconds.
Right.
And it's okay and it's actually good.
And it sort of pulls the audience in even more.
Yeah,
They're like leaning
exactly.
in, being like, what's coming next?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, that's the one thing I noticed.
Cool. Well, I had a new dress too. I bought a big red dress and I actually got a petticoat under it to make it bigger. So it's like an extra layer of like really stiff fabric that
very
like crinkles up.
bustly, yeah. If that's the word.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So
It was very impressive. It always is. It's so funny. We were joking about it when we were hanging out after the show. Like, I do not need to see you enter the stage after a costume change because
you hear it.
the room
I know.
just erupts.
Especially
and I'm like, all
Ratchet
right,
17.
Adrian got on stage. Like, it's time for me to like back away from the front because I'll often move up.
Yeah.
If you're leaving and there's an intro and it's a you song, which is usually when you do the big changes.
Yeah.
I'll move up to the front to be like, hey, I'll be the thing for a second to pay attention to, and then I'll hear the roar and I'll be like, all right, it's time for me to get out of the way.
I know.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
There were some new people at the show that I met afterwards, and they were blown away again.
Oh, that's so good.
I mean,
yeah.
I feel so lucky to get these kinds of reactions. I've had everything from no reactions whatsoever because there's hardly anybody at your show.
Sure.
To the worst is the polite looking for something to say because you're there to see your friend. Like, I had one of my coaches come one time. I think it was actually Art Landy.
Okay.
So he's a famous jazz piano player.
Okay.
And I was just taking general music lessons with him, not like piano lessons, but like
Right.
like the feeling of music. So I would like sing jazz with him, or he would talk about melody structures, or like you know, finding more interesting notes to sing, whatever. And so he came to one of my shows in Boulder one time. It was like one of my very first original music shows, and he struggled to find something good to say. He was like, good for you, or something like that. So I've experienced all the kinds of horrible reactions, and to be able to do these shows where we come out afterwards to see the audience, and there's this like glitter in their eyes and this disbelief on their face.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh my gosh, you are amazing. We had no idea." Like, I hear that all the time with this band. And it's just the best.
Yeah,
I'm so grateful.
It's so interesting that new people keep showing up too.
Yeah, I asked the crowd at this show,
right,
how many people have seen us before, and it was a vibrant, loud, energetic roar.
Yeah, sure was.
And then I asked, so I was like, okay, well, it's probably just all returnees. Then I asked how many people who haven't seen us, and that was equally loud.
I thought when you asked the first question, who's seen us before, I thought that was the whole room.
It sounded like it.
So I was very surprised when
there was anyone left, and that they were that energetic. Like, that was the crowd that replied to the question, who has not seen us before? Right. That crowd was already hot. Right. They must have been talked up by their friends.
I think that at least in the Springs, definitely seems to be happening. Yeah. Yeah. I had a not super great show. It's just been a while for me. Pretty close to 2 months. Yeah. And so I love to play guitar and stuff, but when I'm just playing guitar around the house, I'm not necessarily like working on anything. I'm just playing for pleasure, which, that's not nothing, but I definitely noticed a bit of a lack of coordination between my right and left hands. They weren't terribly off, just not as connected as I want them to be. You know, because to make a note on the guitar, you're fretting with this hand and then picking with this hand, and those need to be very in time with each other. And it's not a problem until you start going fast.
Yeah.
But I noticed a few things, and then there were a few notes where my intonation was not great when I was like bending notes, where it was like, might want to let up on that one a little bit.
Oh, did you go sharp sometimes?
I usually will go a little further than I should. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
I
worse.
rarely bend flat. I'll almost
Okay.
always put a little too much juice into it. And you're like,
It makes
let me
you
just fix that real quick.
Yeah, it makes your head go. "Arr."
Yeah.
Flat's okay. Sharp is like, oh.
Yeah, it's kind of but it was fine. I was definitely, you know, pushing and you know, trying to get the thing going. But also, I mean, you and Julian are so good and so on top of it. I don't feel like I need to push very much. I mean, I sort of need to stay into it. And
Yeah, no, Julian kicked it off pretty early with, like, when he gets intense, he kind of starts shaking all over.
Yeah.
And when I see that, I'm like, ooh, we're doing it, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right then. And then
All right.
we egg each other on,
Yeah,
and so
here
I'm
we
like,
go.
oh, we're gonna take it there tonight, huh? And so I ended up almost on the floor for a couple of my songs.
Yeah. He's the natural, man. He's
Yeah.
got it. He's got it. So that was it was fun to be back. First big show at least of 2024. You've done a few, but I haven't done anything since before Christmas. So
You'll get it back quickly.
yeah,
I know you
for
will.
sure. It just was, you know, a little kicking the dust off and
Yeah, but of course, no one knew.
well, I'm sure.
It's just how you feel.
Yeah, it's just how you feel. And that is at the end of the day to me what matters. Is like, you know, I a lot of my motivation for doing it is I enjoy doing it and I like doing it. And it's sort of I'm sure the same thing of when you like it's always fun to go play a round of golf or go fishing for the day, but you have days where you're just not catching any fish or you're playing golf terribly and you're like, well, this is great, but I would rather be having a good day.
Right.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, that's, you know, the nature of the thing. You can't complain. You got to spend the whole day outside
Right.
and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you didn't catch any fish. So
That's a good
a
analogy.
little frustrating.
Yeah.
So yeah, I couldn't put two and two together and, you know, but we'll get them next time.
Yeah.
And I was very much looking forward to our show that's coming up Saturday at the Soiled Dove. Oh, and I gotta say, I had the best time hanging out with the guys from My Own Summer. Well, these guys play in everything. So Dave Stasny, who we've mentioned, Bobby Greer,
Yeah.
who is in Stonebeat Invasion. He's the lead singer of Stonebeat Invasion. Total rock star.
Total rock star.
Yeah, he's amazing. We've talked about him. And then Dan Buckley, who's a big Colorado sound guy and this and that, and plays guitar in that band. And anyway, I just went to the show. You were coaching those crazy nights. So I was like, well, I'm just going to go to their show because they're friends of ours. And wound up hanging out with Bobby for long time, you know, and actually getting to, we hadn't gotten to like really talk and run into each other a million times, but hadn't hung out, you know, and it was just great. And it was so fun hanging out with Bobby. And I was reminded of that because our Soiled Dove show
Oh.
was canceled and Bobby was telling me he bought tickets for the show.
Nate said he was going to try to go.
I know.
Like, fine. And what? Brian had just gotten, like, a bunch of people to buy tickets. Joaquin had just talked 10 people into buying tickets.
Oh my gosh.
Like, geez. And it was already selling well.
Yeah, and maybe we can get them over to the Oriental. It's not
Yeah.
not that far apart. The bummer about the Soiled Dove is it was a real tent pole for that side of town.
Yeah, it's not just our show that got canceled. It's all
No,
all of
not
them.
at all.
All of their shows.
All
got
of their
canceled.
shows are canceled for a while, and I'm sure they're going to figure out, and I'm sure it's going to be great.
But yeah, it's like it's the great venue and kind of the only venue of that sort in that part of town.
In that part of
You know,
town,
kind of east of downtown.
Right. It's kind of central east.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we'll pull those people to the Oriental, and but it was a bummer that I was looking forward to getting another show under the belt.
Yeah, and it's a real bummer for Performance High because
Well, it is.
we
Yeah.
have a huge showcase on March 24th that was booked at the Soiled Dove.
Right.
So I have a backup venue already on hold, and I'm trying to get a different one that would be a little better fit.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, we'll still do the show for sure, but with so many moving pieces, the date can't change.
Well, and for that kind of show with that many moving pieces, and the showcases do have all the singers, and that's a lot of people's
There's
schedules.
like 40 performers.
There's like 40 performers.
Yeah.
So 6 weeks out
Yeah.
is pretty close.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Can't really move that date at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it will work out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least we have the Muse,
Right. So
and we will pack the Muse.
oh, for sure.
That place
That'll
will
be
be overfulling.
raucous.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
we
that'll
get the
be-
grand piano off the stage.
I'm sure we can. I'm sure we can do that.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
see. I wanted to say something about collaborations at Performance High. So this isn't
Okay.
like making music, but it's about music. So one of the priorities that I have for the studio for this year is to make more connections with other organizations and other coaches, and do more collaborations so that we can both bring in more expertise to offer to our teachers and our students, and also to get our name out to a wider reach. And without me even trying, people have been coming to me to collaborate this year. I think it's on everybody's mind. And so we have two things coming up already that I've been working on the last week or two. One is going to be a workshop presented by Dr. John Skidmore, who is a clinical psychologist who has taught at BYU for 30 years. He teaches a peak performance for musicians class there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he's going to offer a workshop through Performance High. And then also, you look like you're about to say something.
No, I just apparently misunderstood. I thought you said he was clinically psychotic, but that's very different. I just misunderstood. Go on.
Well, I don't know him well enough to say he's not.
Okay, I just misunderstood. I thought it was going to be a different
Yeah, different
thing
kind of
than it was.
collaboration.
Anyway, go on.
And then we're also going to offer a co-host a workshop with Kelzana Artist Management. So it's a lovely young woman who seems to know her stuff. She's going to offer an Intro to Music business course. Nothing we haven't offered before.
Sure.
But I think there's a good opportunity for us both to get each other more business, and for us both to grow together. She's really kind of moving and shaking in the scene.
Yeah, I mean, rising tide
Yeah.
floats all boats. I mean, that's kind of always been true. Mm-hmm. That's,
And it's fun.
it's always a good thing.
Yeah.
And,
So all that stuff's keeping me busy, plus a bunch of new classes and things coming online in the next couple of months. Songwriting class, the hand percussion class got moved. We've got a stage performance class that you and I are teaching.
right. Yeah, I got to check
gosh,
the
a
dates
lot
on
of
that
stuff.
with you, because I definitely was wrong on my calendar.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway.
yeah.
Lots going on. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, seems late in the year to be hitting full stride, but I guess that's the nature of the music business and the holidays,
Yeah.
and that's
January's
just
never very busy.
no. And I'm obviously working a lot, but I'm just kind of working on the scraps of a bunch of projects, finishing up a number of things. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and close this one off. We don't have to
Alright.
do a big,
Right.
they're not all going to be winners, folks.
I'll tell Dr. John Skidmore you thought that he was clinically psychotic.
Please don't. That's such a dumb joke. I was
Kidding.
just making
Kidding.
a dumb joke.
Kidding.
I know. Yeah. That's yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, you scratched off your ticket and you lost. Sorry, guys.
Don't you wish you could get these 27 minutes back?
Yep. Too bad. We got them now. Anyway, thank you guys again so much for watching. We are sponsored, as always, by...
Performance High Voice and Music Studio.
Yeah, and and that's it. Yeah,
nobody
there's
else.
Nobody else.
Nobody delivered a suitcase full of money to our door this week. So
No, but I do want to thank the Oriental Theater, for continuing to be such a great place for all the bands and supportive. And I ran into Andy.
Oh, cool. Andy Burkhaw, who books?
Who books.
Good. Okay,
And
cool.
yeah, it's just a great thing that they spend as much time. And don't get me wrong, the My Own Summer and the rest of those bands, they sold extremely well. I'm sure it was a great night for the venue, but they continue to bet on local entertainment, us included, and I'll give them a shout out if you want to go see a cool show in a cool vibey theater. We really appreciate that they are keeping that thing going.
Yeah.
And they're not a sponsor, but we're fans. And we'll be there in a couple weeks.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Indeed.
All right. Well, here you go. Talk to you guys later.
See you next week.